Trump and Musk are expected to hold a media briefing in the next half hour, and that follows Musk's announcement that he will no longer be part of the government. The pair have been very vocal about national issues pertaining to South Africa. And for more on this, we are now joined by geopolitical analyst and Mail and Guardian columnist Aaron Ngambi, and he joins us now via our video link. Aaron, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. Let's start off here. What do you make of Elon Musk, suddenly leaving the Trump administration? We always knew that this was going to happen, but what do you make about his departure?
Well, Mbali, thank you very much for having me. And indeed, this was quite expected from the beginning. The marriage between Donald Trump and Elon Musk was just a matter of time, and how long that would last was just a matter of count. We know that Elon Musk was a specialist in the government of Donald Trump. He was not really an employee per se for the Washington administration, but he was a contractor, and he had 130 days to renew his contract. And so we don't know if that is the point of departure now, because he has clocked 130 days as a special government employee or contractor. But also, we know significantly that there's been a fallout between President Trump and Elon Musk. And I think that the attempt today, when they have a press conference, is that to basically just, let the public know that there's nothing sinister going on. But I think it's evident that they have real serious disagreements, which has led up to the point of departure.
And coming back, to the focus of South Africa during this administration, during the Trump administration, just last week, you observed that meeting that took place between President Cyril Ramaphosa and, the U.S. President Donald Trump at the Oval Office. Do you think South Africa was able to achieve its goal of resetting these relations between the two countries?
Absolutely. I think that President Ramaphosa was excellent in Washington, contrary to what other politicians have had to say about that meeting. But I think that when you're running a country, it's different from just doing politics as usual. Of course, the opposition may have a different point of view, but I think President Ramaphosa took the initiative to go to Washington and be able to sit down with President Trump and dialogue over this issue. The goal was actually to make sure that they debunk this narrative that there's a white genocide. And I think they were successful in doing that. I think that we saw Johan Rupert also come through and back the president and the delegation to deliver that message. I think that was the objective, that was the goal of the delegation, and I think they achieved that. And this will turn out to Donald Trump actually showing up for the G20 meeting in November this year in South Africa. So I think it was a win for the president. I think that the team was very prepared. More could have been done, but I think that President Ramaphosa showed leadership. He was calm, collected, and he actually persuaded President Trump otherwise. Because if you recall, at the end of that meeting, a journalist asked President Trump and said, "President, are you convinced that there's a white genocide in South Africa?" And the answer to that question, President Trump said no. So therefore, the delegation from South Africa did a fantastic job.
And sticking to that issue around, this white genocide, and some people will say that, Trump will continue to accuse South Africa of a white genocide. And this stems from what we've seen in the media, even after that meeting that took place in the Oval Office. What has been the media reaction in America when it comes to, what took place last week?
Well, one thing you have to understand about Washington, which I think President Ramaphosa knows very well, is that Washington is run by lobbyists and special interests. So the people that were projecting this narrative to President Trump are basically people with a special interest. We know that AfriForum, for example, has been to Washington a few times, tried to lobby Washington and President Trump to act in a certain way. And so this was the genesis, this was the beginning of this idea that there's a white genocide. Now, after that meeting in the Oval Office at the White House, I think that it is clear now, most Americans through the media now know that this notion, this narrative that there's a white genocide is questionable. This is why you have Western media such as Piers Morgan having shows and in fact backing the narrative by the South African delegation that says no such thing as a white genocide going on.
And coming back to the issue around Elon Musk, what does the future hold for him now that we hear that he is set to focus on his businesses?
Elon Musk did an interview with CBS on Sunday morning, and he expressed disagreement with the spending bill that has been passed in Washington. Now, we understand that his so-called Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, the primary focus was to cut on government spending and to save taxpayers' money and be able to reduce on the country's deficit. But the spending bill that was recently passed in Washington seems to be a little bit different from what DOGE stands for. And I think that Elon Musk was unhappy about that, and he expressed disappointment in that. But that is not the only point of contention between Elon Musk and the Trump administration. The issue of South Africa and the white genocide are things that we know Elon Musk has spoken about as well, though not, all the time, but he's alluded to the fact that South Africa is unfair, it's a racist country, unfair to white people. So he has been on the wrong side of history on many things with the Trump administration. Don't forget that the mega movement, Make America Great Again movement, was split in two. You have the billionaire class of Elon Musk, who gave the Trump administration about $250 million during the campaigns, but also there's Steve Bannon and the grassroots of Make America Great Again. These two guys, these two camps, have had different opinions on a lot of things, including HB1 visas for immigrants who come to the US to work. All of these are differences that were emerging, and was just a matter of time that they would come to the surface. And this is what has led to Elon Musk to leave. He's told us that he's going back to SpaceX and Tesla to work full-time for his companies, and we wish him well.
All right, Aaron, thank you so much for your time. That's Aaron Mgambi there, a geopolitical analyst and columnist for The Mail and Guardian, talking to us there about Elon Musk's departure from the Trump administration.